Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's 11 o'clock, according to the work computer. So, I figure I'll give you a little update here. Actually, that fan is running away in the back because it's actually kind of hot out right now. Even though it's 11 o'clock at night, you know, pretty warm. Come on. I'm waiting for my phone to load here so that I can turn that bad boy off. Let's see here. It says it's 79. There we go. That's a little better. Alright, let's see what we got going on here. So right now I'm working on this little nifty setup of track. I got two Y switches with a piece of 22-inch radius snap track between them and the giant thumb in the way. In a 60-degree diamond. So that I'm getting all fitted up here, and I gotta get those two little stubby pieces there cut to length so the diamond will fit in. And that's going down here at the end of the table. So I'm continuing to make progress on the industrial district. I got some structures in there taking up some space. We got the iron ore mine up here. We got the little foam hill action going on back there with a we're going to call that a conveyor building structure. So that thing up there, that's where that's going to live, and there's going to be some large conveyors coming out of nowhere to that. And then in here, in this area, there's going to be a large tower. And you're not going to believe what I'm going to make that out of. I'm probably going to make it out of like a 2-liter soda bottle. Reason being, that is actually going to be the reservoir for the powdered iron ore dust that I'm going to 3D print, hopefully 3D print and auger. It's going to go from the bottom of that up into here and then down into the cars. And that 2-liter soda bottle is obviously going to be built as like a silo that connects to that thing back there with a removable lid so that I can just, pour in the ore, and away we go. And then we're off to filling up cars. So I was busy working on this last few nights. Got this shelf in. That's going to be the iron ore mine. Found a use for that 3-way turnout. That's been sitting in a bin for like, geez, I don't know, over 10 years probably. That's a Shinohara, code 100. Got that dead end spur back there, the switchback. So basically, I explained how this works in another video. We gotta get spun around on the ladder here. I need my hands so they don't die. Basically, down over there you see that yard where those string of yellow hoppers are and all them engines. That's where the iron ore staging is. And the switching engine is going to bring it up this hill behind these buildings and across. And then back here through this switchback. And then into the iron ore thinger. Car filly uppy thing. And then, once they're filled, bring them back all the way down into that yard. And at that point, I think, 6-axle diesels should be able to get up in there. Even steam engines should be able to get up in there and latch onto them and then drag them out onto bigger and better things. That's the plan anyway. So we got, this is the Glacier gravel kit that I acquired on eBay for super cheap. We got a Pike Stuff pole barn here. That's going to be a repair shop full of, shop type stuff and some heavy equipment scattered around. We'll have some pickup trucks here, a couple Hillbilly Deluxes. And then there's going to be a road that goes behind. And then the road is going to kind of disappear up in that grade there. I'm going to carve away at this foam here and make that look like rocks, and basically that's where like the mining vehicles, like front loaders and dump trucks and dozers and that kind of stuff would be going up in there, off into wherever the iron ore comes from. So that's how I'm going to solve the continuity issue of, like, you know, why this random stuff just seems to be here. Alright, so you're probably wondering what the hell that thing is. So that I just acquired at the local train guy. So there's a guy that is open like once a day in the local area. He's got a pretty small shop, but a lot of inventory. And he wheels and deals. So I saw that, and he gave me a good offer on it. And basically, that's kind of like a wedge-shaped, I don't know, it's not really like a background building, but it's a building, as you can see. And, you know, we're going to definitely be using it. It fits right in there. That there is the Miranda's Bananas that was acquired on eBay. Whoever built that did a pretty good job. Painted it pretty darn good. I'm impressed with it. That, you know, when I saw the paint job on it, I was like, yeah, that's a time saver right there. That basically is plug and play. So that, as you can see here, fits in the spot. And then I was digging through some of the bins earlier when I was, you know, trying to find the coal mine there, you know, the basket case coal mine that I tore apart and rebuilt about 2 or 3 times. So I don't know if we're going to keep that structure or maybe buy a new one and build it properly. I don't know yet. We'll see. But anyways, when I was looking for that thing, I found this. And I was like, holy cow, what are the coincidences? Yeah, the coincidence, singular or plural? I don't know, you know what I mean. Anyway, this little guy came from K&K Trains. They are no longer in business, so don't call that phone number, because I don't know where it goes. But as you can see, this was $4.50. It was just a random structure in the used section. And if you remember from the other video there when I was rambling, I love buying like these little random used things because I see potential in them. And I'm like, you know what? Back in the day, apparently, you know, the spiral, the upward spiral of time and, you know, synchronicity. Apparently, the future was echoing back into the past when I saw that, because I knew that there was a synchronicity here, as you can see. So, yeah, there you have it. Look at that thing. The brickwork, the green colored doors, and it's a slightly different shade of green, but you know how things go in the real world when a structure gets built that's newer than the old one. They try to match the paint as best they can, and they try to match the architecture as best they can. But sometimes it is what it is. And the similarity is strikingly obvious, if you ask me. So, that's why I decided that we need to have a switch in there so that we can bring a refrigerated car up into there, to that building. We're going to decorate that with some AC units or, you know, some refrigeration units or something. And, you know, somebody with their Class A CDL is just going to jackknife a few trailers in here and call it a day. And, you know, same up in there. So this whole area is just going to be basically like a parking lot, you know, like a yard for trucks and tractor trailers and whatnot. Alright, so you're looking at this diamond here. So let me move this out of the way. I hate to be a spaz here and kind of run back and forth between stuff, but sometimes that's how it goes. Let's go back to this thing. I just kind of decided to start filming midstream. Some things in life, when they're midstream, you don't really want to interrupt. If you know, you know. Alright, so here's what's going on with this. Come on. Good enough, close enough. Alright, so basically I just need to trim these 2 stubbies to length to get that diamond to fit in there perfect. But long story short, you're going to come out of this yard and then past the little engine house there where the local yard switcher is, over this little, I guess we'll call it an interchange type track. And then you're going to hit this Y, and then there's that other Y, and the track is going to continue around. So, you know, we got this whole area over here. And remember, I may put a diamond in here, so we got this whole area to play with. But basically, that switch there is going to serve that. The straight is going to go into there, into the big building. The turn, or the leg, is going to go over here and join that switch for this little thing there, for those two buildings. If things work out correctly, I may, probably not this particular turnout, I'll probably go on eBay and buy like some, you know, clapped out model power, or you know, Roco curved turnout, something super cheap, as long as it's nickel silver. And I'll bring another spur off of there and then do a wicked curve that way to put some more buildings in there. Because in this space right in here is where the Sterling Dairy building is going to go. It's going to go right in there. And then over here, once the Walther's transformer factory buildings become available, which apparently they're supposed to be ETA January of 2026. You know, the whole precast concrete factory is going to go in there. And then I'm not certain, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a muffler shop right next to the concrete factory. I just have a hunch. So anyways, we're going to have a parking lot in front of this building for all of the nice folks that work in there. And, you know, this area here will be mostly, you know, tractor trailers and whatnot. And, you know, there will be some parking around here and then out back. I like to have things sort of realistic, or at least believable enough, so that you kind of see that, you know, it wasn't just like, meh, you know, like somebody just dropped a thing and, you know, that was that. Like they're playing Sim City or something. We got to figure out where Imperial Foods is going to go, and that's kind of what I was thinking over here with this wicked tight curve. So let me just grab onto this guy right here and just be like, oh boy, I almost kicked out the ladder. That would have sucked. Yeah, I don't know. So I think the loading dock on Imperial Foods is just on the one side. I may have to like rip that thing apart in order to put the track on the left in order to, you know, make the radius work. We'll see. We'll figure that out. You know, all this empty space in here is going to be like roads and utilities and whatnot. I'm going to 3D print some transformer buildings, like you know, those old brick square buildings that had the big wooden doors on one end, and then like, you know, the electric lines would just disappear into it. Those are for big monster transformers. So seeing as how we get all these factories and everything here, I'm going to have some like a transformer building somewheres in here to kind of, you know, take up space plus add some realism. And then same with over here when the Sterling Consolidated Dairy building is up in there. That's going to be a huge building, so that'll probably have its own, you know, transformer building itself. We may need an actual substation in here, probably next to the concrete plant for the entire industrial area, you know, this quote-unquote business park. Business. Yeah, so we're coming along here. I'm starting to kind of realize and see how this track plan is going to kind of, you know, work. Again, I don't really design anything on the computer or like on paper. I literally just have ideas in my head, and I shake my head hard enough that they kind of fall out, and then if I'm quick enough, I can grab them. And, you know, the ones that, you know, I managed to latch onto, you know, they make it onto the quote-unquote design floor. And, you know, that's kind of how things work around here. Yeah, so we're making some progress here in the industrial area. You know, I'm gonna get this, get that diamond put in place. I'm gonna set the diamond. Ha 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 ha. All right, what is this? Okay, so this shelf here is the coal mine. So I was originally thinking that I was going to have two coal mines here. You know, in other words, two ways of loading cars. I was going to have an old way and a modern way. You know, I was going to have a modern flood loader. Yeah, I can't. I don't have enough room to do that. And then I was going to have this, you know, this is actually the New River Mining Company. It's a Walters kit. God, I built that when I was freaking like, I don't know, 12. Jeez. At any rate, that's why I say it's been like built and torn apart like 2 or 3 times. I got it out of the storage tote here, out from under the layout, and started, you know, trying. I thought I was going to fit it under here, you know, under here, but then it didn't fit. I was like, crap. And basically, I set this shelf at a height that it didn't obstruct the workbench. It probably could have gone lower, but again, there's all this stuff along the wall here that, you know, I didn't want to get in the way of. And then I need to round this corner off because I kind of ducked through there. So right now, this thing is in island mode. It's kind of just there. It's not really connected to anything, and I'm not sure how to connect it to stuff. Stuff meaning the rest of the layout. So if we do an elevation shot here, you can see that it is considerably higher than the main table, and it is considerably lower than the second tier. So, yeah. And then if we look at this way, same deal. I'm maybe thinking I'm gonna put something along the wall here, very low profile, close to the wall, because I still need to like travel through there. And as soon as I acquire a door and square tubing, I'm gonna cut a hole in the wall, we're gonna move the fan over, and we're gonna put a door in there. So we have an emergency exit, and also it'll help us get the furnace in and out of there if we have to service that or replace it or whatever. Plus, I can neither confirm nor deny that there may be some future plans that are going to require us to walk in and out of that end of the container apparatus here. So, you know, stay tuned for that. But at any rate, I may do something. I may launch off the end of this here. You know, so you see on this on the far end of the turntable here, I got that switch and a piece of track that's just kind of there to kind of mock up, you know, some ideas of how things are going to go. You know, Android tablets like right in the way. I may move that. I don't know. Thinking about putting an engine house right in here, and then on this side I'm going to put some track. I'm going to round this corner quite a bit. So I may launch a I can't think. PVC thing. A longer version of this. You know, it's going to launch off of there, go along the wall, and then at some point curve around. The at some point curving part is what I really got to think about. Because if I'm passing through there, it needs to be removable. And if that, you know, literally is an emergency exit, it needs to be removed in a hurry. So, we'll figure that out. But it's super hard to see here. So over here, we got this other switch. You know, this is where the grade comes up and then goes up to the second table. So let's see, will this box move easily? Probably not. That's just how it goes here. Not without moving 10,000 things. And of course the box has to be almost twice the size of my hand so that I can't get a good grip on it. At any rate, what the hell we got going on here? So that segment right there, That's where I did my offset turnout, and I was super proud of that. I made a video just for it. Figured out I made an offset turnout just with welding wire. Oh, can you see that in there? No. Anyway, there's another video. Check it out. It's on my channel. So we may. Do I have a number 6 turnout here? That's like not. Let's see here. I'll just take this left-handed and flip it upside down so you kind of get the idea. Yeah, so we could launch right off the end of that and then elevate or free float around and come into here. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing, because the idea here is I was planning, I kind of had a suspicion that I was going to have to enter this shelf from this side. That's why the turntable is down here. Again, this turntable was acquired from the used section many years ago. It had some issues. I had to like go into the gearbox underneath it, and you'll see that I literally, let me get my flashlight out. I cut some holes into the gearbox to kind of help, you know, figure everything out in there. You can see the brass fingers that touch the bearing, or the bushings in there to transfer voltage up into the actual bridge, the turntable itself there. That was all jacked up. So whoever built this thing back in the day didn't quite get it perfect, and that's probably why it was in the used section. So, but you know, I cut some holes with a hole saw in there to help figure it out, because I visually needed to see what was going on. Walthers, if you're watching this video, hint, hint, wink, wink, you know, access holes to, you know, do maintenance and, you know, help build the thing. Weird, right? Yeah. So anyways, I got that thing working. I metered it out with the multimeter. I have continuity on the rails down into the wire things. You apply voltage to those other 2 wires and it spins roundy round. So yeah, I believe it's good to go at this point. So the idea, trains are going to come in here with a whole long line of empty cars, go past the tipple into that area there where that's going to be the yard, and disconnect, and then reverse all the way down. Now, mind you, I'm talking about a steam engine right now. Steam engines only go one way, forwards. So then the steam engine is going to decouple from the string of hoppers and then do a runaround, come around them, back up onto the round table, spin around the right way, and now they are oriented correct to leave the mining shelf, or the coal mine shelf. So that's the idea there. Because so like the iron ore thing, that's just going to be diesels only, and diesels go either way. They're bipolar. But the steam, so we have quite a bit of steam hopper cars, you know, steam era, 2-bay hoppers. And at some point, you know, once this whole thing is like almost done or whatever, we're going to get out some of the Y6Bs and run them up these grades with the loaded hoppers. You know, because they smoke and they chuff and they're all synchronized with the load of the motor and everything. So that should be quite a show when they go up the hill fully loaded. So that's something that's a goal. One of the goals here is to run a fully loaded coal train uphill with the 2 Y6Bs in front. I think we have a Class A that's going to be a mid-train helper. They're all Broadway limited, so they're monsters. That should be pretty impressive. Now, I don't know if those engines in particular are going to fit on that turntable, but if they don't, then we've got other options available for steam power that would meet the length requirement, or I should say length limitation of that turntable. That's why we got down there in that box on the bottom there, the 130-foot turntable for the main, you know, engine facility that is buried underneath all this stuff. So just imagine, if you will, the 130-foot turntable and then a monster roundhouse all the way around it. Anyway, So I think that about covers it. Kind of running low on track. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I'm out of Flex Track. So, like, share, and subscribe. So that the channel can grow and get more bigger and more popular and more awesomer and all that stuff. And then, once the YouTube money starts flowing, I can continue this journey and keep on building, keep on trucking, keep on rolling. But yeah, super happy with that thing. That fit, it was kind of a unique thing because again, it's angled. Oh, you'll see that curved turnout in there. So that curved turnout is going to go in there, and then there's another curved turnout that's going to go there, which is actually an Atlas. So I have the Atlas, I forget what it is, but it's like the big Atlas turnout. It's a 30-inch radius on the outside and 22-inch radius on the inside. And then that's going to join up on that track. So you'll also be able to leave the yard and get out onto the main, or get out onto the main, then hit that curve turnout, and there's actually going to be a track coming along the back side and then turn and go parallel with the concrete factory and then out into this area. And it may even cross over here and do whatever. We'll see. Figure that out. But yeah, so that's some progress. Starting to take some shape here. Starting to kind of see, the real life concept of what was in, rattling around in the vacant spaces up in the brain bucket. So, yeah, pretty cool. Oh yeah, one more thing. There's a piece of strut on the ground there. I've also got another piece of strut in my pole barn. So, pretty soon here, we're going to be laying in those two pieces of strut on the end here to start the overhead crane. That strut is pretty pricey. In fact, I'm still feeling the pain from, all these pieces that I bought and welded in on the top. So, the crane's going to take a little longer than I thought. Oh well. But, yeah, I'm going to start working on that. I got a whole bunch of other stuff that's up in the air right now. We're renovating our chicken coop. The first coop that we had, we're renovating that to be our future roadside stand where we sell our eggs. And the Sprout's going to be selling soap there. I am probably also going to be selling some train stuff. Excess inventory at first, but I think eventually I'm going to kind of get into some custom work. And, like I kind of like to acquire these little structures. I have an idea for making kind of plug and play. Trying to think of, I don't know. Basically, I'm going to take a structure or a scene or a group of structures and build like a miniature diorama on hardboard. And it's going to be like a set dimension, like a 1 foot by 1 foot or 1 foot by 2 foot kind of thing, or 6 inch by 6 inch. And the idea is it'll just be this little scene, and you can then just like either put it right on your layout, or carve out a place for it and glue it in or whatever. But basically just kind of build little things of life and just kind of sell those. That's the idea anyway. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I got that going on. So right now I'm doing the electrical in the coop. Got a enclosure, an outdoor rated enclosure to go on the outside, because I'm going to do all of the automation and the circuit breakers and everything on the outside in this NEMA 3R enclosure, so that there's no switches, there's nothing on the inside for people to fiddle with or play with. The only thing that's going to be in there is outlets for the refrigerator or any any kind of display equipment or point of sale type stuff. If we do get to the point where we get like a square or a clover, that kind of thing. You know, there's the network switch is going to be in there because, you know, we have security cameras down there and they're all PoE. So, you know, I've got a Cisco 12 port right now. I'm going to see, I'm pretty sure, you know, a full size 1U switch will fit in there. So let's see what else I can cram into there. I think I've got a 3750X that might go in there, which I'm going to have to do some ventilation on the enclosure itself to keep everything happy. But, you know, everything's going to be serviceable on the outside. I won't have to go on the inside of the thing at all to, you know, monkey around with anything. So it's going to be a very clean, very minimalist interior. You know, drywall, insulated, drywall, painted, you know, flooring, you know, whole 9 yards. But it's going to be very, like, just Spartan on the inside. You know, no light switches, no, you know, silliness. We have flush mounted ceiling lights that are LED, color selectable, so you can select the amount of Kelvin you want on them. You know, we'll have the cameras, motion detector, door mag. There's going to be a 600-pound magnet on the door so that we don't have to go down there every night and lock up and close the door. The door itself has a, you know, a free egress handle, so you just pass, you know, it's a pass-through handle. So there's no lock set on the door. There is a deadbolt, so if we have to actually lock the thing for whatever reason, we can lock it. Plus we got the 600-pound magnet. So it's gonna, you know, we kind of identified all the things that annoy us with our current roadside stand, and I'm fixing all that now, you know, with the second version. So I'm working on that. I'm actually hoping that maybe by this weekend, what's tonight? Tonight's Thursday. I'm hoping, you know, this coming weekend that I can actually get the Mini down there. I got to put the grading bucket on it and do the site work for it. You know, lay down some stone and some pavers. And I need to Tapcon a piece of pressure treated lumber to the side of the concrete slab where the existing roadside shed is. So that I can, you know, belly up this other Amish shed right up to the slab and have the floor be an equal height and be no gap or anything. So I'm hoping I can actually get it down there and get that in place, because once it's set in place and it ain't going to be moving anymore, then we're going to do the insulation and the drywall so that, you know, the process of transporting it and, you know, like manhandling it with the excavator to get it in there doesn't crack the drywall, and, you know, then we have to go in and patch it and repair it and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, we're going to do all the finish work while it's, you know, after it's down there. So we'll probably video that, you know, when it happens, or, you know, the Sprout will video it, and because I'll be running the Mini. Yeah, that's about it. I think I've rambled enough quite a bit for, it's probably 11:30. Yeah, close enough. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this update. You know, there we are again. We got some cool buildings. We got a blast from the past and a hook into the future right there. We got some cool snazzy track work going on. We got Kitty Witty. Yeah. So, HO scale, shipping container layout. TechBilly83. Like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you next time. Take care.